Hi, I'm Ryan.
And I'm Steve. And this is 60 Cycle Hum, the guitar buying, selling, trading, modding, fixing, breaking, reviewing, playing podcast.
This first ad comes to us from Will Hugh.
Bum, 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 bum,
This is a guitar from Gibson made in the shape of the United States of America with like this, what's the guy's name?
Evil
Knievel. Stars and Stripes theme going on here. It's not even like Stars and Stripes for the American flag. That's clearly an Evel Knievel thing, right?
Yeah.
So, I've seen these guitars around, but I don't know any history about them. Do you know any of the history,
This
the backstory?
says this is the 1985 Gibson Stars and Stripes map guitar. Gibson made a run of promotional in 1985 with body shaped like a map of the U.S. 48 state version. I want the 50 state version.
Well, you have to. There are pedals. You get Alaska and Hawaii as pedals.
Only 9 of these were painted in a Stars and Stripes pattern. This symbol of American patriotism and unique and rare piece of Gibson history is offered with its original hard case. There's some finish issues I try to capture in the photos, which I will describe below. Looks like the guitar had some kind of interaction with the clear coat and finish in a few areas in the front and back. You cannot see it from a distance, only from an angled view.
He actually supplied some good photos of this damage that looks pretty unique. It looks like the art is like falling apart in an unusual way, like it's deteriorating.
Huh.
You look at Texas there. It's got a big old crack going through the stars and stuff.
The neck has a strange finish discoloring, like post-it note size along one side. There's a very faint and small round area near Washington State. There's somewhere on the back side of the state of Maine. I like how it's like locational. This guy's asking $6,500.
Jeez Louise.
As far as the interaction that he talks about, there's been some kind of interaction with the clear coat on a few areas. And he says it's maybe from like bubble wrap.
I think he was trying to say reaction, not interaction.
Well, either way, that's actually not an uncommon thing with nitro guitars, and that was something actually
they don't like any material put against
It's
them.
actually it was kind of amusing because there are a handful of guitar strap manufacturers that use they call vegan leather. So it's a synthetic leather. It's like
it's leather made from vegans.
Yeah, exactly. No, it's like a synthetic leather. And someone posted about how this reaction was happening on one of their guitars and what's wrong with it and like what's going on. And their original claim was that they thought there was an interaction between the strap
reaction.
And it's still a reaction is an interaction.
Well, an interaction doesn't connotate like a chemical reaction. There's a chemical reaction
This
happening.
person actually thought there was just an interaction because they thought that the strap being in contact with the guitar in the trunk of their car at temperature was causing like the finish to melt from actual heat.
Well, if the plastic is gassing off in the heat, that could be true. The gas could be reacting with the finish.
But you wouldn't see this. What this is just classic nitrocellulose reaction with a synthetic. And so Ed Chu from Wrought Iron, where they make the majority, I think he does some stuff with possibly with vegan leather, but he typically just uses regular traditional leather for everything. He's like, that's what you get for trying to use a vegan, like kind of a little snooty, smug, but also like smug. It was like kind of an interesting point of like, there's a reason like leather is like a classic material for all of this because it's an inert thing.
It's like your skin because it's made out of skin.
Yeah, exactly. Anyway,
which is why vegans don't like it.
I thought this was an Evel Knievel finish, but they're just saying it's a Stars and Stripes.
Right. I don't think it was intentionally trying to be an Evel Knievel thing, but it's like that was certainly the style when these were made.
Yeah.
Like Evel Knievel was in everybody's mind in 1985. Like he was a national symbol.
Is this picture from the ad as well?
That is from the ad, but those are not guitars that are included. This is a picture of another version of the lower 48 shape, but with a trim on there. What is that trim model called? I always forget.
I'm not sure which one this is. It looks like a Floyd.
It's not a Floyd. But anyways.
Is it a Caller?
It might be a Caller. And then there's an Explorer that has the same art on it.
Yeah.
The Stars and Stripes theme.
It goes. I love that the art.
I think the Explorer looks hot.
Yeah.
That's a good looking Explorer.
I would really I think my favorite version of this style of art would be on the Washburn A5.
Which one's the Washburn A5?
It's the one that.
How fast can you Google it, Steve?
Pretty fast.
Pretty fast, he says. Let's see.
Unless your phone's not. Oh, yeah, I'm on the network. Is this body shape?
Yeah, I guess. I think that's ugly, though.
Well, you would.
Yeah, I think that Explorer looks hot with those stars and stripes.
There was a red.
They're going the right direction. They're the right width. They're the right weight. Right color, too. I mean, it just looks really good. What do you think about... Do you think there's collectibility with these USA-shaped guitars? Every time I see them, they are like permanently on display in a guitar shop somewhere, and no one actually ever buys them.
And this guy's asking $6,500, which is clearly way more than any other 1985 Gibson is worth.
Right.
So yeah, I don't know.
I'm gonna eBay Gibson map guitar and just see what comes up. He said only 9 of these were made in that finish. There's one.
That's what he says.
With that finish on eBay right now, $4,500.
Interesting. You don't think that's possibly this same one?
It's got 0 bids, 3 days left.
You don't think that's possibly the same one?
It might be. It's a different photo. There's also one here for $8,950.
Jeez.
Someone either refinished one here or they had a crazy refinish. They have a crazy finish on this. It's just red and blue stars on white. One of the wood ones is going for $3,000.
Right.
Or best offer. Shipping from Canada. You're not even on the map, like Canada. Funny. Why would this guitar be in Canada? It would be kind of funny to see a clearly Canadian band playing one of these guitars, and then like they've got the big they've got a Canadian flag shirt, so like the shirt is hovering over the guitar.
Yeah,
like here we are above this guitar. There's a sunbursty one for
this $9,000 one is like super white.
Or there's an Epiphone one for nearly $7,000. It seems like it's kind of that's the range for these. They're collectible prices, not players' prices.
It's interesting,
but I've never seen anyone actually play one.
So, given the accuracy that this Gibson map star with the stars is from 2001. That's not one of the older ones.
A newer one, and that was a custom.
That's what they're saying. Is this was like a custom order?
Which country do you think would make the best guitar shape?
Oh man,
I'm googling country shapes right now.
It's just bizarre to me that there are 3
countries are sucky shapes for guitars.
Do you think there were only 9 of these in 1985, or just 9? Across all years.
It is buck wild that there are 3 on eBay right now if only 9 were ever made.
But that's like crazy, maybe it's only even like so what I'm saying is maybe it's just 9 in 1985 and that there were also 9 in like 1984. But even then it's crazy that 2 of the 9 are up for sale. The best country shape for a musical instrument.
I'm looking at country shapes and I'm just like, it's not going to work for most of you.
Maybe like Sweden, I think could be pretty good.
I think Australia has enough mass, but then you have to leave off Tasmania.
Italy's
too thin, man. Africa is not a country though; it's a continent. Man, it's rough.
What's your favorite country? What's your favorite country in Africa? Africa.
I mean, America has leaned in pretty hard. I think on the same level as Australia, and to being like the shape of our country being like an identity for us. Like you look at China, and what is China? Like I don't look at China and go like, oh, that's an iconic shape, you know?
Well, that's because you don't live there.
I'm not looking at any other countries and going like, that's an iconic shape that you see in culture, though. Australia is a common shape you see in culture. Like the shape of that country is featured.
Is it?
As a cultural thing.
How, like, I guess I'm trying to understand what you mean by the shape of, like, what is the shape of Australia? Like, how would you, like...
It's like this weird bean.
So you're saying, like, oh, it looks like a bean. What about...
Countries suck at being shapes, guys. No matter how you stack it. I'm looking at all these countries and I'm like, work on your shape. Y'all suck at being shapes.
I'm just trying to think about like what even makes
like you couldn't even begin to make Mexico into an instrument. Baja's just gonna break off.
Right. What about Germany? Germany's got a lot of mass.
Yeah, but like it's not a recognizable shape. If I showed you that shape and it didn't have the German flag over it, you'd have no idea what country that is.
Oh, okay. Well, now that I see what you're saying.
Like the shape of America and the shape of Australia are iconic. Like find a more iconic duo than the shape of Australia and America together.
But so the thing is some of the countries that are iconic shapes you've eliminated because they don't fit. Because I think Italy is a much more iconic shape than the United States.
A hugely iconic shape for a country.
It's just a really bad guitar shape.
It's that boot. You got that boot.
I don't know. I think.
I mean, you've even got countries like England that are hugely iconic with their imagery. You know, the British flag. You know, all sorts of different imagery, and they do not lean into the shape of their country as the thing that they present because the shape of their country sucks.
Wow.
I finally have something to be patriotic about. America's the best shaped country. Deal with it.
It's a really good thing we stopped acquiring territory in the 1950s.
Yeah.
Otherwise,
it would have made this guitar a lot harder to produce if we just bought Mexico or Canada, you know, incorporated them.
Did you Google iconic country shape?
No.
Most iconic country shape. Here are the top 10 countries with the most beautiful shape. Italy. I don't even know what the shape of United Arab Emirates is. Cyprus could be a good one. Look up Cyprus. Cyprus is a good shape. Cyprus is like tiny America.
Tiny America.
Look at the shape,
dude. We are full on geography podcasting right now.
Did you spell Cyprus wrong?
Yeah.
Damn it, Ryan. Chile, Greece, Russia. Russia is just a...
Cyprus is an island. It looks like a tomahawk steak.
It looks like tiny America.
It looks like a
warped tiny America.
It looks like a
right. It looks like a porterhouse.
It looks like
a pork chop,
like a bone-in pork chop. I got to go to Cyprus now. It looks delicious. Oh my gosh.
What do you think about Benin?
That's a weird shape for a country.
Let's see. How about Sri Lanka?
It's just like a potato.
What about India? India's got a good. I think India's got a good shape.
India is iconic. You recognize India when you see it.
Inspiration for Strandberg.
Chile, you too skinny, Chile. You the snake of countries.
Oh my gosh.
Chile is a long snake country. This went way off the rails.
Dude, what about...
Welcome to 60 Cycle on the Guitar Podcast,
I'm trying to envision,
where we definitely talk about guitars, not geography.
I'm trying to envision a Canadian guitar. Whatever.
I'm going to crack this bottle.
I'm over this.
Oh, tell me about this bottle, Steve.
This is from the brewery. This is called...
Which is the name of the brewery.
So happens it's Tuesday. I'm not sure what the name of where the name of this beer came from, but I think it's supposed to be a joke because it's like a beer that you're not supposed to drink on a Tuesday.
Yeah, it's supposed to be like a special deal.
But I think it's like like a sarcastic like, yeah, so it happens to be a Tuesday, whatever.
Yeah, let's celebrate.
It actually is, I think it explains it on the back.
But... Oh, that is gonna be thick. Oh, what is this? Imperial Stout.
This is an Imperial Stout, Asian bourbon barrels. Our infamous Black Tuesday Stout is named in honor of the great stock market crash of 1929. So it happens it's Tuesday is similarly dark and delicious, but in a more affable format. So it's similar to their Black Tuesday. It's a reminder that things happen, life goes on. This beer can be enjoyed in all of those moments and seasons.
This is going to wreck us. This is a big bottle of a strong beer.
Maybe it's going to wreck you. But...
This is another one that Grant Wilson from Big Ear Pedals.
Thanks, Grant.
Financed for us. He sent us just a big old PayPal payment. It was like, go buy beer for your episodes.
Yeah. So what's new this episode? We got that little green guy in front of you.
Yeah, you want to talk about the green guy?
I would love to. You want to... Just reaching over here. This is a thing that a lot of people have talked about.
Yeah, lots of other podcasts have talked about how it exists, but none of them had it like we have had it for like a month.
People have asked us to talk about it, and I will just say that, and we'll reveal why we couldn't talk about it after we talk about it. First,
let's talk about it, Steve.
This is the MXR Carbon Copy Mini. It's green like the Carbon Copy. It's mini like a mini pedal.
Yeah. There's not many of them. It's just miniature.
Yes.
Mini is short for miniature. And it really is pretty small. And it's packed full of features. It's packed full of features. I honestly look at this thing like no one's going to buy a regular Carbon Copy anymore. Because why would they?
Yeah.
It's got all the controls a Carbon Copy has. It has the bright option on the side. So it does the Carbon Copy bright too. Mm-hmm. You open it up and you've got the trim pots to adjust the speed and the depth of the modulation.
Yeah.
It does everything. And it sounds like a Carbon Copy. I'm going to film a demo for it that's already going to be out. But as the point of this...
It will be
at
out.
The point of recording this episode, I haven't filmed it yet. But I've been having a bunch of fun playing with it. I used to own a regular Carbon Copy. And I feel like this one is definitely an improvement just in having that bright switch. Because I like the bright setting. For sure.
And the reason that we weren't talking about this pedal before is because we got it from Sweetwater. There's a little hookup.
They hooked us up. They were like, we want you to help us launch this thing when it comes out. When we can launch it, then you can launch it.
Yeah. We also got these hats, these little pom-pom beanies.
They didn't guess and send these. Steve and I requested these.
Yeah. Did you get a shirt?
We want the pom-pom hats. I did get a shirt.
I got this shirt. I got the vintage style Sweetwater shirt. Which shirt did you get?
I got like the recording reel one that I thought was pretty classy.
I had this thought earlier because I had this thought earlier that like, never mind. I'm not gonna talk about it.
I'm afraid to drink this. It smells so good.
So anyway, we got that from Sweetwater. So it was really cool to kind of like get an embargo product, kind of indirectly. That was exciting. And so really excited to be working with Sweetwater on this. And they also did hooked us up with the Fender Tre-Verb. Tre-Verb.
It's short for tremolo reverb,
Whatever.
Steve. It's not going to be Tre-Verb. It's not tremolo.
Sorry.
Learn how to pronounce things.
Yeah, isn't it pronounced? It's the Tre-Verb then, right?
Yes.
Tremolo.
Yes.
Or no, it's the Tre-Verb for tremolo.
Okay, you're right. It's the Tre-Verb.
Yeah.
So anyways, we've been working out this partnership with Sweetwater that I think is going pretty good. Let us know in the comments if you think it's cool.
Serious.
It's getting pretty serious, this little relationship we've got
going on. Getting a little TO'd because they haven't sent us a full body shot.
Do you realize how long it's been since that movie came out?
Dude, I quote that movie like on a weekly basis.
I've been thinking about showing it
daily basis.
Showing it to my kid. He's almost 5 years old. I think he would get a kick out of it, but he's kind of like back and forth on the movies.
It's really flat. I don't know if
the beer.
No, the movie's like really flat. Like it's kind of intellectual, Ryan.
He might not be ready for it. He might not be ready for that style of humor.
Yeah.
So what do you think? You haven't even got to try it yet.
I have not.
Are you interested in trying out the Carbon Copy?
Yeah, I should probably see if I want to put a delay on that little FXT.
It would give you
that's the one.
If you did mini pedals on this.
Oh yeah.
It wouldn't be a 4-pedal board. It could be an 8-pedal board.
For sure.
Just slam that right in there. Maybe more than 8.
Yeah, you could definitely fit a ton on there.
Yeah.
If you went mini.
Oh, you're dropping stuff.
Yep.
All right, let's should we move on?
Yeah, you don't have any other what's new?
No, I don't think so. Oh, I've got the gray matter here.
Yeah, everyone wants to know your thoughts on that.
I've messed around with it a little bit. Maybe I have a demo up for it already by now. But when this got announced, people on our group kind of
freaked out
a little bit because
they were trying to get us to sue Loophole Pedals.
No.
Lawsuits.
No.
CC desistes.
Maybe CC desistes. But I talked with the guy behind the scenes and it's like, hey man, anyone who realizes the brilliance of putting two DoD 250s in the same box is a friend of mine. Like, it's not like I can like trademark or like patent that idea. The idea of like doing a cool thing and putting two like good overdrives in a box. Like, why wouldn't you want to do it? I'm surprised. Exactly. I was like one of the first people to come up with the idea. Or it probably wasn't. Someone probably already did it before. But this, it's two DoD 250s in one box. I've had a couple hours to mess around with it, but it does a completely different thing. Mm-hmm. I mean, besides being two DoD 250s in one box, like, you can shape the character of each drive with this edge control that's in the middle, and you have different clipping options, I believe, which is labeled as synths. Right. But I think that I haven't read the manual yet, but I really do think it is just like a difference between like silicone and like germanium clipping or something like that. But it does completely different sounds than the 5050 does, and I'm excited to make some content with it. I think this one's
great. Obviously, it's called the Gray Matter, isn't it? Gray box based.
Oh yeah, obviously. But like this, honestly, like the difference between gray box and yellow box 250s is pretty negligible. Yeah, it's not a big deal. Man. People freak out because they just want to have the older version. You know, It's old. But yeah, I'm stoked to have another 250 around. I love 250s. This is probably like the 8th 250 I have around here or something, including the 250 that's hiding in the HX Stomp. I'm a fan. Of course I'm going to want to check this thing out. I don't think anyone should be acting like there's any sort of competition between our pedal that we do in such limited runs and anyone else trying to do the same thing. I want other pedal builders to make double pedals that have the same pedal twice. I think it's a good idea.
For the record, it's a limited run pedal. There will be future limited runs.
There will be more future limited runs.
Very limited. This first
topic... We're talking about the 50-50.
Yeah, this first topic was sent in by Brandon Mullis.
Here's my first taste. You talk about it while I take my first taste.
He says, let's hear you talk about the difference in boutique clones and Chinese clones.
Whoa. That's a good beer.
Yeah.
It
better be.
How much was that bottle?
$22.
Damn. Super rich. Steve strikes again.
I've had it before. Well, no, Grant Wilson strikes again.
What is that flavor that's hitting me?
I don't know. It's good.
Oh, that's good stuff.
The flavors are malt, oak, vanilla, bourbon.
It's probably the bourbon.
These are a few of my favorite things.
It's hitting me with like hair raising on the back of my neck, tingles and stuff like that. That's a good bottle. All right, let's hit this topic.
Yeah. So, what do you think is the difference between boutique clones and Chinese clones? I understand the heart of this question.
Let's not like lock it into Chinese clones, like import clones in general, that are like cheapies.
Sure.
You know. Sure. Wherever they may come from.
Sure. I think...
Because Taiwan's coming into the market.
Are they?
You know,
I mean, I have no idea.
Korea's always been in the market. I was talking to someone the other day who lives in the Philippines, and they have a local pedal builder in the Philippines. That's pretty wild. Although they're not, cheap import like Chinese type stuff.
Right.
They are like local boutique, which is interesting.
And so I think that's actually a good launching point. One of the things,
it doesn't matter where it comes from,
is the difference. I think the heart of the question here is, we say boutique clones versus Chinese clones, but ultimately, anyone can make a clone. If I had
I've done it twice.
If I had oh my gosh, if I had like a wave soldering machine, whatever, like I could pull a design and start cranking out like mini pedals in my basement or whatever.
I wish you would have a basement.
I wish I would have a basement. Yeah. If a basement in a townhouse, that'd be weird.
Yeah.
So I think right off the bat, like that's kind of the core of the big difference is typically with a boutique or with like a high end, I'll even say like expanding beyond like just American companies, but like a Western company, there's an expectation that some level of experimentation has occurred. Whether that's
some level of like creative experimentation and development and like hard questions were being asked, like do we do this slightly different transistor versus another one, or do we choose like this, kind of like heady, like circuit path that no one else will notice and things like that.
Whereas I think the question,
it really comes down to differences in business models.
At least the perception of the question that goes on with a Chinese clone in the context of what I think this person is asking is, how do we make this smaller, cheaper?
Yeah. How do we sell these for $30-$40 on Amazon,
Right. And so, if, whether or not, like for example, I get for a comparison, if he wanted to go like super cheap out, if the company wanted to go super cheap out, Emerson Custom could probably put together a version of the EM drive that has wholesale price wise, the case being the most expensive thing, like a $7 pedal.
Right.
But because they're using like what they consider, and from everything I've read, like they're high grade components, they're hand selected, which takes time because every single component that comes through has to be put on a meter to make sure it meets the exacting specs. It's not just being built, randomly.
It's like the differences between like a chef ordering a crate of oranges and just using all the oranges because they're orange and I just need oranges in this recipe. Right. And then a chef ordering a crate of oranges and then searching through all the oranges to find the 2 perfect oranges that fit specific specifications for the dish that he's going to make, like right color, texture, juiciness, stuff like that. Like that's the difference between like a Chinese import company making a Emerson clone and Emerson making their boost pedal,
and that's just from component selection. Sometimes it's even like simpler than that. And we saw someone on our group talk.
That doesn't mean you can't get good sounds out of the cheap stuff too, though. Yeah. I mean, there's happy accidents that happen. There's just the reality that they do like a good clone of like a TS-808 is going to sound good because it's just going to be a direct clone of a TS-808.
Yeah, it's just not necessarily going to be anything.
It's not going to be artful,
unique, or I mean, excuse me. There is a point there, and somebody I don't remember if it was Brandon, maybe that's why he's bringing it up. Maybe it was someone else who had a I think Rowan is one of the bigger mini pedal brands. They have a pedal called the Obsessive Drive, which is a miniaturized version of the full tone OCD.
Of course.
So that's a case where,
and there's also the Joyo Ultimate Drive, which is like the $30 version of the OCD.
And in both of those cases, you've got the original pedal, the full tone, and you got these companies that, as far as anyone is really concerned, is just making a part for part copy.
Sure.
So now you get into like this idea of where in circuits, there really isn't, from my understanding, as far as like generalized circuit design goes, there isn't necessarily like any kind of like patent retaliation that full tone can do.
Right.
The fact that some of these companies, when they do an OCD copy, call it the Obsessive Drive.
Well, there's some companies,
or literally will just say like OCD style clone.
No, there's some companies that'll do a visual clone to the point where it's not a clone anymore; it's a forgery.
Right,
and
that's different.
That happens a lot with Wampler stuff. Like there's a lot of like fake plextortions out there.
Yeah, yeah. I'd say that's a little bit of a different case.
Sure.
So yeah, I think that's the thing, but I think sometimes, and going back to what you're saying about like you're talking to someone in the Philippines, there are boutique companies that exist in these countries that operate kind of the same way that like American boutiques.
Sure.
Like we kind of forget that, like, I think we forget a lot of times that like East Asia, like actual people live there.
Yeah, and they actually
like
there
not
are,
just it's
there
not
are musicians
just,
that live there.
It's not just factories. So I don't know how it came up on our YouTube feed, but I've been listening to a lot of Chinese football.
Okay.
Chinese football is, oh my gosh, it's funny because we're talking about clones. Chinese football is a Chinese band based in China that was inspired by the band American Football.
Okay.
Which is like a classic, like early 2000, like late 90s, early 2000s math rock / emo band.
Classic emo.
Classic emo. Well, like early. Emo. It's not like the pop punk, like the heavy pop punk influence. It's very technical guitar parts. I actually was trying to figure out if you had come across Chinese football in your dive into Doom.
I haven't. Is that what they do? They do Doom?
No, they don't do Doom, but I think there's actually there is a musical relationship between Doom and like the math emo scene of like the early 2000s. Okay. Doom is like sometimes I feel like Doom is just a super heavy take on that because they
like just slow math rock.
They both really share like these can share like these really technical riffy things, but that's besides the point. The point being that, like,
when I think of Doom, I don't think of technical riffs. I think
there can be
slow.
Yeah, I know, but there's definitely, I think,
dark.
In my head, there's like, maybe I'm confused.
I think like with Doom, you're like trying to like do the most creative thing you can to like experience the most dissonance that you can achieve. You know,
and maybe that's where I'm like element. Seeing the combination.
There is like this proggy element to like trying to like, because you're doing something that on its surface is kind of simple, but you're trying to spice it up in a way that's musically challenging, and I think there is that element to it.
Yeah. Not to veer so far off, but my point being that actual musicians exist in these countries who are playing like their own version of a Western style music, and in turn, there are companies that we don't necessarily hear about that are making high-end stuff, or at least higher end stuff, that still has retained a lower price just because the cost of labor and the cost of parts are cheaper in country. And, you know, as much as it's become a joke in groups, I actually think the joke has kind of died off. Yeah. But like that was always the pitch on the Wong's amps, was that, they're Chinese boutique.
Right.
And both of the amps that we have, if you open them up, like, they're PCB, but they're not like cheap components.
Feel substantial.
They feel solid. Yeah. And if you look at like the gut shots, like they're a Chinese company that makes hand wired amps.
Yeah, of course.
And sells them for like $800 because the labor it's Chinese labor. So they get the low prices on that. So, you know, there are companies that are in foreign countries that are doing traditional cheap labor that are making things the right way.
I mean, this is nothing new. I mean, like you look at like the Italian guitars of the 60s and they were these funky, crazy import things that were, you know, inexpensive compared to the American counterparts and things like that. I think it's not new for there to be a monetary difference between import stuff and domestic stuff. That's why stuff gets imported, because it can get made cheaper somewhere else and then you bring it in, you know?
Yeah.
An angle I want to explore is, as a consumer, what's your journey between selecting, say, we'll use Tube Screamers as the metric here, between selecting a $30 Chinese import Tube Screamer versus going down a boutique domestic route? Like, say, like what is the difference between you buying a Joyo vintage tube drive, which is like a $30 Tube Screamer, and buying like a JHS Bonsai, you know? Like, what's your path look like to get to each one?
I think it kind of, honestly, I think it kind of depends on your exposure.
Meanwhile, we're drinking a $20-something bottle of beer. I think talking about cork sniffing.
I think it depends on your exposure. I think a lot of the boutique gear industry is driven by
exposure of the brands to the customer.
I think exposure of the customer to the zeitgeist surrounding any given brand or just of guitar culture in general.
Okay.
What I mean by that is, if I'm a guitar player,
sure,
and
I'll imagine that you are.
Imagine that I'm a guitar player.
Okay.
Which may be difficult for most of you. Aren't you just that guy that jumps around? Dude, what if I was just a hype man?
I wish you were.
Oh, man.
Okay, finish your thought.
I don't think I'd be a good hype man.
Get back to it. Back on the tracks.
if you're just like, you picked up guitar and your exposure to pedals and whatever is just like going to Guitar Center or going to your local mom and pop, and mostly like you are a guitar player, but you're like, you started learning on acoustic or whatever, and now like you could be very competent,
sure,
but you've just never really gotten into pedals, and you're listening to Stevie Ray Vaughan. You've discovered Stevie Ray Vaughan.
Okay.
And so you're like, oh, how do I get that sound? And so you do this like quick dive, like Google, how do I sound like Stevie Ray Vaughan? And it's like, oh, you need a Stratocaster and some tube screamers.
Yeah.
So you're like, oh, tube screamer. And then you're like, oh, well, like I want to sound like them, but like I don't really want to spend a lot of money. Cheap tube screamer. And it takes you to the Joyo. Was it Joyo tube?
Vintage tube,
whatever,
drive,
right?
Yeah.
And you go, oh, $30 or $40 or whatever. Like I can do that. And like, that might be the end of your search.
Sure.
And that's what I mean by like, you're not really like in the culture. I think the more you're in the culture, the more influenced you are by, or the more potential you have to be influenced, and the more exposure you have to large brands, where now you're like, or maybe, so there's a couple different, I think you have the longer exposure, but I think there's also people who are like, well, I had the Joyo one and it was good, but like, what else is out there that's in this style?
Right.
And now
like
you're like,
me having like 9 different 250s.
Yeah. And now you're like, oh, JHS has the Bonsai. It's like 9 different versions of the Tube Screamer or whatever. Like,
yeah.
That sounds cool.
Speaking of the 250s, I had a journey where like I bought a original like 80s 250 in the Guitar Center parking lot for $35.
Right.
Fell in love with it. Was using it on.
Was that your first 250?
That was my first 250. Was using on everything, and then from there made the jump to buying a Nocturne Brain Fez for like $200 off of Reverb or whatever. Like that's a big jump, and I think maybe these import brands serve as this double-sided kind of purpose. It's definitely for people who are just getting started and like, I want a Tube Screamer, but I don't have big money for it.
Yeah,
and I don't even know what all these other options are. I just want. Like someone told me I should get a Tube Screamer, and people are saying that this is an affordable one. And then there's the guys who are probably more like us, who are like, man, I'm just curious about this cheap import stuff. Like, is it really good? Is it what people are saying? Is it decent? And so I think those are your two consumers of that stuff. And then your consumer for the more boutique-y stuff, like the more expensive stuff and the more like cork sniffery stuff, is someone who has already experienced that circuit and is looking to explore it more, looking to hear what it can do, looking to find out like if there's more of that thing that they already love. It's like, because the Fez is definitely more than the original 250 that I own, but it's still the same. Like I could get the same sounds, but I can get more out of it.
Right.
It's like you can get a Joyo vintage tube overdrive for $30, or you could get a Bonsai.
Well, it kind of builds off of, some of this builds off of the conversation we had last week. Joe Bonamassa' whole thing about like, oh, like you're trading parts on a guitar because you're trying to chase this thing, and sometimes that is where it's at. It's like, well, you're paying more money to get this, like, how much money is 10% better worth, or 20% better,
sure,
or 50% better, depending on your sometimes depending on your own perception. But I do think the cheap pedals being an entryway to boutique is kind of an interesting thing, and that was actually something I was thinking about it while we're talking about it.
Not even necessarily an entryway to boutique; they're just an entryway into pedals.
Yeah,
like maybe you get the Behringer version, and then you're like, man, I really want to see if the Boss version is better.
Right, and this was a conversation that went down about a month ago. Is episode 26 of the Get Offset podcast, where they actually covered this exact same topic from this angle.
You think one of their audience members asked us this question? Is that what's going on right now?
I don't know.
Are we being pranked?
I kind of hope so.
I'm fine with it.
So I do think that's one angle. I think it's hard to not be instantly dismissive of anything that is not a big name, or at least a recognizable name, or has some kind of gimmick that isn't just, oh, it's small and it looks exactly like a Moore.
Right.
So it must be like a cheap. And so like to that extent, is it ground control pedals, one control pedals?
I don't know.
There's a pedal company that has the company's called One Control. They've got a bunch of different pedals that are in the mini format, but I think they're all like really high end, or at least like decently high end.
Well, Moore is kind of like that too. Like their Moore stuff isn't cheap. Like a lot of those pedals are like $70-$80.
Right, but in the case of Moore,
which is expensive for like a mini pedal.
In the case of Moore, though, we're talking about like it being like, I'm saying like the One Control Strawberry Red is $170.
Oh yeah.
And visually, that's a Moore. Visually, like that's just a mini pedal.
Sure.
But I think One Control is like a Japanese company.
Yeah. I mean, a mini pedal is really just a size of box. Like it doesn't mean anything about the actual internals. I mean, most fuzzes could fit in a box much smaller than this.
Yeah.
That's just the reality of it. But because there have been so many Chinese import brands using the mini pedal format for the past half decade, maybe longer, like it just has this reputation. You see a mini pedal and you're like, oh, it's probably a $20 pedal.
Well, and the one thing that's crazy with the One Control stuff is the inside of their pedals are like kind of shaped to like the way everything fits in there. It's kind of crazy.
Huh.
I can't find a picture.
Like the metal is milled out?
Yeah, for some of them.
Okay.
That was one of the difficulties. I looked on the guts because they do the Mosquito blender, which is I think the exact same circuit as the blender that I built for you.
Okay.
And I tried to figure out how they did their jacks, because that's the problem with the finger enclosure that I built for you, is that I couldn't do the jacks properly.
Yeah.
And I looked at theirs and I was like, oh, well, that's one way to do it, because the case like isolates the jacks from each other.
Something that would be
of the way they're milled.
Interesting for a brand to do, to put themselves apart as a mini pedal manufacturer. Like the concept of a mini pedal is that it takes up less width than a full size pedal. Why does it need to be shorter? What if they went full length with the pedal? You see the MXR carbon copy next to the Gray Matter, and the Gray Matter is a full size box, and the carbon copy is shorter and it's more narrow.
Yeah.
But what if it was just an inch and a half longer? It would set that box style apart. You'd be like, I'm getting something different than just another mini pedal, but you're still getting the space savings.
Right. And really, I think the only reason that it's not is because this is just a box that Hammond makes.
I know, but you can get custom boxes made.
And I agree with you that from a pedal perspective,
like from a branding perspective,
I guess it doesn't matter as much here. Do you have a pedal train style board?
I don't.
So on a pedal train style board, the slats are so far apart that mini pedals are kind of tricky. Are kind of tricky, because unless you can put it dead center on a slat, you are stuck. And really, the spacing on a slat is maybe like half the length.
Yeah. So if you had a long boy that was narrow,
it would never be a problem.
And also, if you did that, you could fit full size knobs in a vertical row.
You could do that, or you could just keep it, or you could put more knobs.
Mini knobs, yeah.
You could put more knobs, or you could make more complicated circuits.
If I had the ability to do it, the manufacturing and financial ability, right now I'd be starting a company that has their own cases that's a long mini pedal. That's just what I would do. Boy. Little long dogs. They look like hot dogs.
Long dongs.
Long dongs pedals.
Ryan's new pedal company, Long Dong Pedals.
Long dong. It wouldn't be that long, Steve. I mean, what is that, like 4 inches, 5 inches?
That's pretty long.
Super long. Very, very long. Far above average. So anyways, next ad, or do we want to do sponsors?
We should do a sponsor, since I forgot. This first sponsor this week is D'Addario. We're going to talk about the Dual Lock, which is these are these little clip-on guys.
I use these.
Oh yeah?
I use them with my my checkerboard strap, because the
right.
Like I keep saying, the holes are loose like the sleeve of a wizard. And these help hold the strap on whatever I'm using. I mean, it's just got, I've been using this strap.
That strap is pretty destroyed.
It is wide open there. So this sort of thing, you just clip it on. You use it basically the same way you would use like the Grolsch, like rubber washers. It's just
let's see that strap.
More specific way to use it. Put it on there, Steve. You put on the strap. It's hanging on there by gravity itself. And you put this on and it just locks it on. Do it quick, Steve, so people are impressed. There you go. Snap right on. And they have a little loop to put your cable through.
Yeah.
So your cable's not rubbing against your guitar body in between your strap and your guitar, which I'm a big fan of.
See, that would have fallen off right there. Smashed the guitar.
Oh, you can put these on and hang the guitar off of a strap. For sure. So, yeah, it's a smart little product.
We should do a series of videos where we just swing guitars around by the strap.
Maybe that's what I should do with some of these guitars around here that I want to get rid of.
Yes. I mean,
I've got too many guitars, guys. It is.
We would never destroy guitars just for YouTube.
It's become a problem. But if these things work, then the guitar is not going to get destroyed, right?
That's true. And they will work.
They will work. Why wouldn't they? Yep. It's a smart design, and it's a robust little plastic clip that's nice and thick and nice and sturdy.
Yeah, so check out the link down below to D'Addario. These things are also like super cheap. They're like $4 or $5. A great solution.
I know it's not Christmas yet.
Versatile strap-on program.
Great stocking stuffer.
Oh yeah, for sure. How many guitars do I own? That's how many of these I need.
Yep.
All right, this ad was sent by Ryan.
That's me.
This is a Fender RCA Frontman guitar amp. Take a look. $300. Cash only. This is a nice used RCA stereo cabinet converted to a guitar amp entertainment bar. The cab is a 1960s RCA. It's been covered in Fender Tolex and grill cloth. It sports a Fender logo and Bullet 150 badge. This amp is a Fender Frontman guitar amp. This amp sounds great. Dimensions are 31.5 by 32 by 17.5. That is a big pedal board. Yeah. It has been fitted into this cab. You can play music via iPod and play guitar while wearing your headphones. Would look great in your den or living room. Also looks great in the lobby of your business. The cab is not refurbished. It's a conversion used as a bar to entertain or whatever. If you like having something that no one else has, this might be your amp. Take a look at the pics. If interested, contact. This is really cool. I really like this.
The thing I don't get at all is the Bullet 150 badge.
Like, why would you keep that on?
Why would you put that on? Because I'm looking at Bullet 150s, and it is like the cheapest, smallest possible amp. And maybe that's what this amp originally was.
So that's the funny thing is this wasn't a Bullet 150. So even less recent.
It was a Frontman, right?
It's a Frontman 15G. So this is a little 15-watt practice amp. It's been hooked into an RCA system.
But that's what the Bullet 150 is.
That's what the Bullet 150 is, but this isn't a Bullet 150.
Where did he get this badge, and why did he put it on there? Like, he put it on there like, oh, people are going to be impressed that this is a Bullet 150. But it's literally like a badge from like the cheapest amp you could imagine.
Right, and that's what I'm saying is like, so this logo might be from a Fender Frontman 15G.
It looks classy, and it looks like something that should be like way better than it is.
Right.
The way it's presented on this bar, like record player console that's been converted to a bar anyways. But it's funny as people who know what that model amp is.
Yeah.
To be like, oh, it's like if someone like made like a car themed like leather couch, and then they put like a Dodge Neon logo on there. Cause like, oh, this looks cool. Dodge Neon.
Yeah.
You know, like
of all the Dodges you could have put on this, you chose the Neon.
Right. At least it's not a Plymouth Neon, you know. But it is like they've done such a classy job of this. It looks very attractive.
Yeah.
To the point where I'd be like, yeah, put this in my house. I'd be fine with this.
Put it in my house.
It doesn't look like an amp, but it has the appointments of an amp in a classy way, you know? And then it does have an amp built into it that you could plug a guitar into and jam in your living room while you're, utilizing the dry bar.
Well, and so that's the other thing too that I actually did not process until you said that is he says You can play music via iPod, and play guitar while wearing headphones, which is true because it has an auxiliary in and a headphone in. But the newer practice amps, I think the Bullet 150 probably doesn't have an old school aux in like this. It probably just has like an eighth inch aux in.
Right.
So this is like an old.
This is an older amp. It is so weird that it's got the RCA aux in. Like, who is even ready to use that?
Yeah. So now
you're going to need quite the adapter to plug your iPhone into this.
Now you need a. Oh, you know what? The Bullet 150 had the same RCA in though.
Huh.
So. Cash me outside. How about that?
This has a Frontman 15G faceplate on it. Where did he get the Bullet 150 tag? This thing just looks really charming.
Maybe this guy really loves practice amps.
I mean, parts of it look a little bit rough. It's hard to tell from the photos, but the overall execution is really classy.
Yeah.
I feel like I'd have a tough time telling this guy that I'd want to pay less than $300 as a piece of furniture.
Right.
Because I feel like the execution is there. The use as an amp isn't there for $300 at all. Is there something secret hiding back there?
Another one? There's something back there, but I don't know what it is.
It looks like he did a similar thing with something else.
Yeah, I just can't tell what that says.
Yeah. There's another amp hiding behind this thing, a secret amplifier. Yeah, I don't know.
Electra something.
I'm never actually going to buy this sort of thing, but I don't feel like I could tell anyone to not buy it.
Electroglide? I think it says Electroglide.
It's probably just an actual record unit back there. An actual media console.
Right.
I don't know. What's your thought on it, Steve? Would you ever buy something like this?
Electroglide is a Harley Davidson model.
Oh, weird. So he did a Harley version thing. So he's just getting tags from anywhere and putting them on these consoles.
Yeah, this is that's a Harley Davidson Electroglide badge.
That's funny.
So this guy just refinishes these old RCA record cabinets with like other branding. That's fun.
Yeah, it's fun.
I like how this is turned into like a bar and it's got little glasses in it and a bottle of Jack Daniels.
I will say though, it doesn't look like that lid can close on those Crown Royal bottles.
Yeah.
That area is too shallow.
That is an oversight, sir.
Yeah, so that shallow area has got to be all glasses, and there's a deep area on the side where you could put the bottles. Yeah. So I guess it's more of like a serving area. I don't know. I'm starting to feel like maybe this isn't practical. Because I'd rather have a serving area than...
Let's be honest, man.
Have a deep...
Let's be honest.
...thing I've got to reach into.
We're dads.
I'm not going to lie, I'm a dad.
This turns into living room practice amp / storage for kid toys.
Oh, 100%. I'm kind of looking at it and I'm wishing it was still a record console. Put my record player in there.
Yeah.
Do we want to hit some more sponsorships to make sure we pay the bills? We got
to get them
Steve?
done. Let's pay these bills. This next sponsor is Squatch Design Co. Where'd that board go? It's back here. They make pedal boards.
Guys, they're running out. You got to get on squatchdesignco.co right now. Is that the website? And
I think so.
Get one of these boards in your hands, on your floor. Get pedals on it. They only sell the ones that are actually made. So the ones that are on the website right now, that's all that's available.
In stock now.
Until they make more. You got to get on this. You're missing out. You've got the FOMO working really hard right now. Fear of missing out.
It's squatchdesign.com.
Squatchdesign.com. Go get over there. Check out the boards that they have ready to sell to you. They're not going to build them. They're already built. They're not going to glue together wood or cut wood or stain them or put clear coat on them. It's already done. Just pick the one you want and they're going to send it to you. It's a no wait situation.
It's definitely possible. Let's see. Right now there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, maybe more.
There's plenty right now.
There's plenty.
But we're recording this.
At first, I thought there was only one.
We're recording this 2 weeks in the future. They could be close to sold out now. They could be completely sold out. Go check. Don't miss out.
Squatchdesign.com. All right, this episode is also brought to you by Chase Bliss.
Should I pick a pedal off the wall?
Let's go pick a pedal. I am going to say that Ryan is going to pick the Warped Vinyl.
Okay.
Off the wall. Did I pick the one you were going to pick? Yes! Yes! I'm clairvoyant.
I picked this because you said it, Steve.
Oh. Self-fulfilling prophecy.
I mean, you want analog, vibrato, and chorus with a wealth of insane digital controls that will make this do things that no pedal can do. Warped vinyl hi-fi. That's what I got right here.
Wait, does it do chorus?
Yeah, this is a pedal that is meant to do chorus, but every single Chase Bliss pedal can do chorus at some point. But this one specializes in chorus and vibrato. Crazy amount of controls on here. Chase Bliss audio pedals, they're more creative than you are. Go check them out.
Yeah.
Tell them we sent you.
All right, this next topic was sent by Joe Branton.
Well, a couple of people sent this, but the one I screen grabbed was from Joe Branton.
Joe Branton.
Some guy that gets around in the guitar communities. I don't know what he does. It's probably not important.
This is the first look at the world's first guitar-shaped hotel.
The first! Just because it's the first doesn't mean it's the best. Someone might come out with a better guitar-shaped hotel.
My favorite comment on it was, oh, gotta slap some Gretsch pickups on that baby.
My favorite comment was someone going like, yeah, you're staying inside the Guitar Hotel, but you can't see the Guitar Hotel if you're staying inside of it. If you want to see the Guitar Hotel, stay in the hotel that's across the street from the Guitar Hotel. Then you can see the Guitar Hotel.
So this is going into Hollywood, which makes even less sense to me.
Where in Hollywood?
I don't know.
Hollywood is such a dump.
Is it really?
Yeah, I hate Hollywood. You ever go into Hollywood?
No, I haven't been to Hollywood since I was a kid.
That sucks in Hollywood.
Yeah?
Yeah, it's not like a tourist place. It's weird that this is going in Hollywood.
I always hear like, oh,
why did I think this was going in Florida somewhere?
Why did I think this was going in Dubai?
Yeah, seriously, because it's totally a Dubai thing.
Oh, man. So this is going in... Now, this says it's in South Florida.
Yeah, I thought it was in Florida. Maybe Hollywood, Florida?
Is there a Hollywood, Florida? It's Hollywood, Florida. Ah.
We solved it. We solved it.
Geography to the rescue.
Yeah. Hollywood, California sucks, guys. Don't go there.
Oh, my gosh. This is a Hard Rock property. Okay, that makes a little more sense, I guess.
It's crazy that Hard Rock has enough money to do stuff like this.
Yeah. Well, especially since Hard Rock Cafe was the only venue we ever actually got paid at. If they're actually paying the musicians who perform there, how do they afford these lavish accessories?
Yeah, but that location closed down.
That's true.
My impression of Hard Rock Cafe as a business is that it shouldn't be doing super good right now. I never hear anyone talk about it. I guess they've got the Hard Rock Hotel downtown. Maybe the hotel game is where it's at.
Yeah.
And the restaurant game is like they just don't care anymore.
The grand opening headliner. I'll give you two guesses.
Aerosmith.
Wrong. Think new. Think modern.
Nickelback.
Oh no!
Come on. Imagine Dragons.
No, broader appeal.
Broader appeal than Imagine Dragons? I can't imagine such a thing. Lay it on me, man. Just tell me.
Maroon 5.
Maroon 5.
Maroon 5.
That ain't bad.
No.
It's all right.
Clearly, you have not heard a Maroon 5 song since 2005.
That's the guy. That's the one with the guy, right?
It's the guy from The Voice. This is The Voice.
I owned his signature guitar for a while.
You did.
Didn't you play at the Super Bowl or something?
He did play at the Super Bowl. He played a lead guitar solo at the Super Bowl.
That's rock and roll, man.
Rock and roll.
Rock and roll guy.
Rock and roll. I do not understand this hotel, man.
I bet all the teenagers are super big into those Maroon 5s.
They're not.
I bet people who stay in a hotel shaped like a guitar are totally okay with Maroon 5.
Yeah, because they're all MILFs.
Whoa, Steve.
They're not MILFs. Sorry, not MILFs.
Whoa.
I didn't mean MILFs, Ryan.
What did you mean?
Cougars.
Okay.
That makes it better.
All right. I'm not going to apologize for Steve. He needs to do that for himself.
I'm not going to apologize. You know it's true. The only people who really like Maroon 5 these days are 45-year-old women.
Okay. If you're booking a trip somewhere,
all right,
and it's the same cost to stay in a regular hotel or the guitar-shaped hotel, do you make a decision? Is there any preference there? Like as an adult.
I mean, if it's the same cost, I'm going to the Guitar Hotel, man.
You are going to go to the Guitar Hotel?
It's stupid. Of course I'm going to go there.
That's probably what they're banking on there.
Are you saying like assuming like all the amenities are also the same?
Yeah, if they're identical.
I think I'm still going to the Guitar Hotel just to say I did it.
It does look like they have a nice pool thing.
But I don't think that's the grab, dude. I think like people are like going to be like, all right, I
got to stay in the Guitar Hotel.
I can go to like the Hyatt for $100. I can go to the Hyatt for like $250 a night, or I can go to the Guitar Hotel for $300 a night. I'm going to the Guitar Hotel.
Maybe it's a thing where you're like, you tell people where you went on vacation and you're like, oh, and check out the hotel. Like it's a bragging rights thing.
Guitar Hotel. Guitar Hotel. You got anything else for this, man?
I don't even know what to say about this.
All right, this last ad was sent by Ryan.
That's me.
This is a Hallmark 2018 CC5 Custom Factory, one-of-a-kind paint, glow-in-the-dark / key lime-ish mosrite ventures.
So I wasn't able to get the full description off this because it's no longer on Reverb.
Which means it's sold.
No, I looked through the completed listings. You can do that on Reverb now.
Oh, on the app?
On the desktop.
On the desktop.
And it wasn't on there anymore, which means that this person just took it down. So it wasn't completed listing. So the person just changed their mind, like, I'm going to keep it, or they sold it local or something like that. But I didn't realize.
Well, they did say they're struggling with / still debating about selling this one. This is my favorite color, and I commissioned this custom paint job. It's hard to effectively understand the description of the color unless you really paid attention to the typical, quote, color of a, quote, glow-in-the-dark object, which is key lime-ish.
Yeah. I agree with that. So this guy...
You have 2 messages on Reverb, by the way.
I know. It's just to do feedback, which I don't enjoy doing, I guess.
Dude, it takes like 30 seconds.
I know. It's just leave a star and stuff and leave a comment. I don't know. But I never considered the color of a glow-in-the-dark thing when it's not illuminated as like an ideal color, or like a color someone would have a preference for.
So for this, for sure, with a standard glow-in-the-dark green, the non-glowing version of that color is like not great.
It's like a sickly, like key lime pie.
That's like the color I turn when I drink too much.
It is like a sickly color, right? But it's funny to think that like that's this guy's preference, and he probably has other guitars that are this color. He mentions farther in the description that he prefers to play his Mustang and his Jaguar or whatever. And I'm assuming he has those painted the same color as well. But I kind of I looked at this and was like, until this moment, I didn't even realize that I wanted a glow-in-the-dark guitar. But now it's like all I can think about. Every now and then I get on Reverb and eBay and I look for Hallmarks, and I'm just praying that like there will be one in the price range that I could afford to make an impulse buy. And it just it's never going to happen because they just sell for what they go for, which is like $1,000 and up for the most part. But I love to have a custom 60 or a 65 custom, one of these classic mosrite shapes. And like a glow in the dark option would probably be something I would jump on if I had the money.
All right, Ryan, question for you.
Yeah.
What kind of cover band do you need to be in to play this guitar?
Any, man. The
correct answer is Hoobastank.
Why is that?
Because they're crawling in the dark.
Okay. All right. I mean, the real answer is like, this would be great for a Man or Astro Man cover band, but you don't see a lot of those around. You definitely see a lot more Hoobastank cover bands floating around for sure.
All right. This week's song was sent by Ian Ferguson. He says use either, both, or neither. We're going to use one, but maybe we'll use another one. Who knows? Feeling like using another one. IDK, might delete later. This song is called A Fistful of Ugly. We have been 60 Cycle Hum. Bye.
Stay grounded.